Hello. My name is D. Cornelius Worthington, but from the point of view of friends and family and for the purposes of this conversation, please call me Corey. I am here in accordance with my law firm's policy requiring that all new associates during the course of their first year meet with a writing coach for the purpose of improving their writing.
Hello, Corey. My name is C. Edward Good, and I'm quite pleased to meet with you. Your accent reminds me of a fellow I spoke with recently. Did you move to the United States to practice law?
Technically, I'm from California, but I developed my accent at that point in time when I was in close proximity with many British people. With respect to my youth, it occurred in a manner similar to many people at this firm. It was on the basis of my academic achievement and with regard to my potential that from the point of view of the Rhodes Trust I could benefit in terms of further study. To the extent that I maintain an accent, it is simply by virtue of my sophistication in both spoken and written language.
If your family is not British, then surely you could not have developed an accent in 2 years of study abroad.
That is not true. My British accent has become stronger in direct relation to my educational achievements. With reference to my speech, you may have noticed that I even talk like a lawyer now. In addition to my Rhodes Scholarship, I was valedictorian at my college, and I studied at the Yale Law School. I am destined for success.
Don't you think it is a little strange to talk the way you do? I will forget about your accent for now. Why do you use so many compound prepositions?
With a view toward client needs, I began to use compound prepositions in favor of other words. At this point in time, I believe that I have mastered both lawyerly speech and writing, which is why the clients pay me in excess of what they might pay with respect to less skilled lawyers.
Client needs do not require you to use compound prepositions. In fact, your writing is not only more fluffy and cluttered, but it is also imprecise. Please try using simple expressions instead. Nouns and noun phrases require the use of some simple prepositions. However, compound prepositions are so imprecise that they should be abolished from the English language.
You must be confused. In the event that you didn't know, I also have a PhD. I know many things. I am a learned scholar. Over the course of the conversation, you have only given your opinion. I have never even heard of you.
In my legal writing book, I have several good principles to help lawyers improve their writing. Avoiding compound prepositions is one of my rules. The root of your problem is that you have replaced powerful versatile verbs with nouns and noun phrases. However, that problem is made much worse by compound prepositions. Simple prepositions like and, of, or, to are more powerful than phrases like with respect to.
I am not sure I believe you. In the nature of a lawyer, I am inclined to want evidence to support this contention. In the event that any decision to change the way I speak and write is to be made, I will need information on the basis of your book and with respect to your qualifications. Citations with reference to anyone else who thinks in a manner similar to you about my writing would help. I will buy your book to see.
Well, my book is currently out of print. But Henry Fowler also thinks the use of compound prepositions is absolute garbage. In fact, it is one of the worst things ever. You should never, ever, ever, ever do it. I have launched an all-out war on compound prepositions.
Well, I may try to follow this rule, but in terms of legal writing, I think your opinions on the compound preposition are in excess of their actual damage. I think that both I and everyone in the immediate vicinity of me, during the course of their time here at the firm, have used these compound prepositions in a manner similar to my speech and writing. In reference to your book being out of print, perhaps from the point of view of lawyers, your rules are no good after all.
I have ignored your pretensions thus far. But this time, you have gone too far. It is bad enough that you are someone who is pompous enough to wear a vest, bow tie, and top hat to work. But you have taken it a step further and insulted my book, which is filled with good rules for lawyers and everyone else. I could ignore that too.
Sorry to interrupt, but for the purposes of determining what during the course of this conversation with respect to my behavior is in the nature of a pompous person, I will ask one more question. Perhaps my clothing and speech are in excess of what is necessary from the point of view of some people. In relation to my speech, perhaps you make a fair point. However, with respect to my writing, I defend it by virtue of its occurrence taking place in a manner similar to my peers, and in accordance with what many legal writers do. At this point in time, in the interests of brevity and on the basis of my earlier presentment, I will ask my question. If your frustration, whose occurrence is in excess of what is reasonable, is not from jealousy with respect to my clothing or in relation to my insults of your book, why are you upset?
Your foolish speech, clothing, and insults mean nothing. I am upset because you continue to violate Rule 11, which encourages writers to get rid of compound prepositions and use simple prepositions instead. This conversation took at least 2 times as long as it should have because of your fluffy speech. Compound prepositions are the compost of our language. I have declared an all-out war on compound prepositions. If I were not a civilized man, I would put both you and your writing in a garbage can and toss you in the ocean. However, I am a member of a noble profession of lawyers and legal writing instructors. I state no exceptions to my rule against compound prepositions. And because of your rebellion against Rules 11, I can tolerate your speech no longer.